I will try to tell you some of the history that we have been in Latin America, and at the end, I will try to tell you some of my sites and what can be done, because there's a lot of things that can be done there in Latin America, mainly in South America. That's where I have been. One of my main thoughts before is I was trying to search for information about XBRL. I started with the XBRL about in 2014, and so I got to Google, uh, and I started searching information, and there was a little bit more than nothing. So it's hard to start from someone who is wanting to start there. So when I was here yesterday in the afternoon meeting, I was looking upside of me. So most of you are very tall. So I say this is very European. This is something that it's made for Europe. Well, of course, there is XBRL US and many other things, but in Europe, only in Spain speak Spanish. And this is something that it's hard for us in Latin America to get near, because the language, well, people, and right now new generations speaks English from very small, but not so young people like me. It's not so easy for them. So I found this information about Milena Castillo explaining something from 2017. So in 2017, there were about 5 implementation in Chile in 2008, Peru, Panama, Colombia, Mexico, and Uruguay. That's what you can find on this presentation. So if you start, you keep looking and you ask to ChatGPT, where in Latin America it's XBRL implemented? Well, there's, sorry, a lot of misinformation that you need to find and to try. So what you can find, and it's true on that presentation that is from Milena, all of them based on IFRS. All. Most of them on full IFRS. With time, we start working with SMIS information, so small companies that in Colombia called Grupo Dos use information. But that was some presentation found in Google and Eurofilling. But what is in XBRL webpage? That some fundamental, what's real there? So we can find 9 registered implementation, and there are more, lot more. So that's another message. Maybe we can try to, we as implementers, as entities that have implemented, we can maybe tell a little bit more to XBRL. It can make easier to the other ones to understand how you do it, like today. But came to here to Zurich is not so easy for us there in Latin America. So those are the implementation. Chile, Peru, Brazil, Uruguay, and Colombia. For in Colombia, I came from Colombia. That means we have many supervising entities in those countries. I don't know why, but we need many supervising entities on those countries. So I will talk about many of them that I have been near, which I could help some kind of things, not from the beginning, but maybe in some time then. So with reporting standard, that is the main provider that speaks Spanish and works there, we have implemented in those 4 entities. And when I say implemented, I'm talking about supervisors and regulators, mainly. In Uruguay, Auditoría Interna de la Nación, AIN, that's an entity who uses XBRL, and I will talk to you about in the next slide. Chile, in what now is the Comisión para el Mercado Financiero, CMF, and in Colombia, there are 3 of the 4 implementations that I told you before. What's going on in Chile? This year, we have helped them to work with new taxonomies and so many things. But in Chile, Comisión para el Mercado Financiero is a new entity. There were before many superintendencies, and they be fusionated, mixed in one. So that was hard for them. And in that moment, when that happened, the teams that work with XBRL were diluted almost. So the evolving of XBRL was a little bit hard. So right now they are working and they have evolved. We are trying almost in all countries of South America uh, to help them understand why to use iXBRL. Maybe it can be better. Well, you better than me understand well the benefits of iXBRL and not use PDF, plus Bjorn says, and any other things. But that's how it's going on in Chile. In Chile, Comisión para el Mercado Financiero use taxonomies about 25 entry points for banks and securities and many other entities. AIN in Uruguay, they have the same taxonomy for about 9 years. So these years they plan and move to 2021 version of IFRS and always IFRS and only IFRS. Well, some local work frames they work too, but most of them are IFRS. In Colombia, we have 10 supervising entities for financial information. Only for financial information, 10. One of them, the main one or the biggest one, is Superfinanciera. Superfinanciera works with listed companies, banks, and all those things. They have an implementation made from 2013. Since 2013, this implementation is still working there. This is the only entity that publishes the XBRL files. So preparers send the information, they'll work with them, and they publish the XBRL files. The other entities don't do that. There's another entity, Supervigilancia. Supervigilancia makes some kind of mix with this brand of tools for preparers, this other brand for reporting, for processing on server, and many other things. This is a cheese, I would say, in Colombia implementation, something that has some for anywhere and well, only IFRS-based taxonomy and a local framework. Here in Colombia, we use 3 frameworks mainly for companies. Grupo Uno that uses IFRS full, Grupo Dos that use SMS, and 3 for small companies that use a local framework. And all of them trying to work with different entry points. And all of these entities that supervise the same kind of information, of financial information, have different entry points. So there's a lot of disaggregation of information. Super Servicios supervises the home public services like gas, energy. Well, I don't know how to say the other ones, like water and all things. They have 5 frameworks because the supervised entities, some are from government or from the state. So they have local frameworks besides Grupo 1, 2, and 3. Well, they move their implementation with some like ELSA. Well, not so well like ELSA, but some like ELSA. Well, they try to move many things. But the main one that we have helped and which I work with, it's Superintendencia de Sociedades. Superintendencia de Sociedades makes surveillance about over 30,000 companies. All of them report information to them with reporting standard software for many things. You said before that small companies type the information. That's what happened here. It's very difficult in Colombia that companies make some kind of investment to make tagging and any other things. So there's a tool that solves these things and we can have the information, and Super Sociedades gives the tools for make them to that. So we start in 2014 there. There's where I start this move. And they are planning to move to new version of IFRS frameworks in 2014 for SMMS and in 2015 for full. But there they have explored many other things about XBRL. So they have a taxonomy for companies that do not meet the going concern hypothesis. That was a hard implementation that needs to move some things, mainly to cash uh, flow, yes, to movement of cash. And they have two taxonomies created with DPM methodology. There's something that in South America is not used to. So they have the databases and many other things, moving and going on. And they are planning to use CSV XBRL for all those information that have many lines, many items that have to move. So they trying to move anything to XBRL and maybe sometimes also on IXBRL. What is really interesting beyond XBRL here in Colombia and in super sociedades is that they use the information. And that maybe sounds wild, but yes, they have the information, they process it. Of course, XBRL helps us to have some quality on the information to assure that the information received can be well stored, but they have many kind of studies and documents where tell us many things about what's happening in Colombia. So that's helpful uh, for IFRS final desires that people have access to information, not in XBRL yet, but just in those kind of documents. So the 1000 of 2022, that's the 1000 main greater companies on assets and on revenues. And the other 9,000 plus 2,000, those are the links if you want to invest on some of them. And this is the last that they do. In Colombia, we are trying to understand, well, I am trying, maybe people understands, ESG information, S1 and S2 from ISSB, and well, we are trying to move, but with the information we receive from this 1,000, 9,000, and the other 20,000 companies, they made some kind of study for foreign domiciled parent companies. So regulation in Colombia has some benefits for some things where you can have the information, the parent company is there. But in recent years, the parent companies are moving outside Colombia. This is this year information or 2022 information, and many of those that have parent companies have moved to España, United States, Panama, and many other countries. That leads that super sociedades who has 6 entry points for this kind of companies now have 2 new entry points that they call combined for those that have this kind of. So there's a lot of things. We are not doing wrong. I think we are moving slowly, maybe. We are trying to do things well. Not it's always easy, but there's a lot to do in Colombia. When I hear you, I say, well, we have some kind of image of in South America, we are far away from Europe in many things. Maybe we're not so far away. So maybe we are near in some things. But being here, being part of BPB is what have helped me to see that. Not many people have that opportunity. I am one of those, and other people maybe keeps thinking about that. We are far, they are in another world, and almost. So regarding Latin America, I'm sure, and that's a message for you, your partners, and everything. There's a lot of markets to be created, not only about financial information, but yes, about XBRL and many other kind of domains. Not only about sustainability that now is in vogue, but many other things that can be used there. So we can make easier for Latin American regulators and supervisors to access information about XBRL. there's something made new. When I started this chat, I was telling you it was hard for me to find information. It's still being hard. So there are some companies that, Altoba, for example, have some kind of courses, free courses that you can take and read, and many others. But what if regulators can speak with others just with a couple of calls, not with some difficulties and meetings and being here in Zurich to trying to do so? Uh, Being close to other, using an easy language. Most people here, I guess, are technical people. So when we talk about XBRL, well, XB what? And non-technical information, people who makes decisions needs the information, does not need all the technical things that we have seen before. We can maybe assist them and facilitate this thing, the understanding for all those users, not only technical, but in many other parts. Talking about Colombia, there are 10 superintendencies. 4 of them are using XBRL for financial information. But we have a lot of supervisors on many other things. In Colombia, there are 67 Contralorías. Contralorías are entities that supervise other public entities. 67 Contralorías. Each one of them are independent from the other, and make that they talk between them is as hard as make other countries talk between them. So there's a lot of space to use XBRL, as I told you, not only on financial, not only on sustainability, but in budget, but in contract executions and develop of all those things. So there's a lot of opportunity that's only in Colombia. I don't know how it works in the other 15 countries of South America, including which I don't have information, like Ecuador, like Paraguay, like many other of them. So we are working, we are trying to help what reporting standards have made their making easier to understand for me. XBRL is something good. So my message there is this can be greater than Europe, uh, Asia too, but we can make it. It's on us. Like in the AI presentation they told you, it's on us. Try to make this bigger and make it easier and make data works and with more transparency. That's all from me. Thank you.
Why are all these big companies leaving Colombia? What's the reason to go out? Your tax system is quite okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not so much. You see 47 uh, going to Spain, 48 to USA, and we are talking about 30,000. So there's not so much. But the main reason is when you have the information and you start making policies on that, uh, well, you start feeling surveilled. So you start moving. That's my answer. But I am not one of those who are making that surveillance. I can ask for some that, but that's what I think. Uh, I've been surveilled. I have an eye on me, and it's easier to be outside when they can watch me so close. So like that.
Thank you, Juan Carlos, for the explanation. I come from Colombia, so I one of the XBRL people here from other countries that not Europe. I'm working for a German company, so this XBRL topic in Latin America for me is also new, and I have to say that I make some research also as well, but it was difficult to find the information from the countries and how they are doing it. This problematic that you told us about this amount of superintendencias or institutions who are dealing with this information is a problem. And also a problem, my feeling was it was so difficult to find information on the home pages. Yeah. And I speak Spanish, right? So it's not about the language. It's about my feeling is not really accessible information for everyone. And the other problem, and that's my question as a Colombian but not living in Colombia, is how far are we with a kind of harmonization between these entities, because I think that's the main problem, that we have a lot of standards and a lot of entry points, and if they are all of them reporting financial information, why do we have to report that's what that much? And the second question will be, how far this may be a dream to have like an ESMA in Colombia and Latin America, I mean, so a Latin American institution who is kind of um, dealing with this, supervising or giving some standards for it. Maybe we need to do a Latin American expert group to push that in some point, yeah, that's everything for me.
There are many things, but how far are we in Colombia? Only in Colombia mainly. To put together these 10 superintendencias. There was in 2014 some kind of group named Super 10. So we were like Superman 10 of them working together. And what happened there is that each entity works almost by itself. They don't share with the others. So it's very hard to try to put them together and try to make them, well, come, let's work and make something. So it's something very, very hard. Right now, there's someone named Mauricio Español in Colombia, in Super Sociedades, that is trying hardly to make something that we call Central de Balances. Looking for that. He has about 8 years working of that. Change of government, change of people, each 4 year people changes, and many of the people changes on those entities, so it's very hard. The second one, if that's in Colombia, let's move to all South America. But there is where I think we can work together and do something. We are trying with Universidad Javeriana and Universidad Externado to make something like a jurisdiction, but I'm not sure if a jurisdiction is the best way to go with XBRL. So we are trying now that we understand a little bit XBRL, its benefits and all those things, to move in something that can get us there, even when FMI and on other multinational entities, organizations give easier access to credits to countries and many other things. Maybe there's where we can go there. But of course, you are invited to help soon everyone here to help us move on. Yes, in Colombia, we are using XBRL because in 2009 we converged to IFRS. So there was an entity that told us, hey, you should use XBRL. It might be good for you. That's all. But I totally agree with you. If we can make the lobby, and I am not the one who can make that lobby, maybe we can get some there.
Hi. I wanted to ask about the data quality and how the data quality is in direct relationship with the number of validation rules. And what is the average of number of rules for every entry point in the taxonomies that you have in Colombia?
Well, that depends. When I try to talk with people there about XBRL, I try to make them understand this is not only a technical solution. Well, this is not a solution. This is a language. If you need a solution, you need to make many other things. But you need to work with business people and with technical people and with XBRL people. That is not the same, as I see, defining which kind of validations rules we need so we can make it on XBRL. In super sociedades and super servicios, we have a lot of validation. I don't have a number for you, but that makes that information comes and we can take decisions about that. We are sure about that. So, and in all this year, we have evolved those validations. So that doesn't work as we need. We have not in account these other kind of companies that makes us easier to work. What is hard is when the other entities don't understand this in this way. So they move validations to other systems, so we cannot fit them easily. And well, data quality improves when you make better validations. So there are two entities with better information than the others regarding to that. But I can tell you some numbers about it.
I've been looking at the top 1,000 companies you mentioned, and I recommend it. It's very nice to see all those facts and figures. I also wanted to know to tell you that, for instance, in the Netherlands, we have a standard business reporting project, and it's quite successful. We're very proud of it. And we've also made a very thick book with all the lessons learned of how to set up a program like that, because it's much more also you need some sort of coalition of the willing, government bodies cooperating. How do you involve stakeholders? And so there's so much more than technology. And I just wanted to tell you that this book is also available in English and it's free. So I will share it with you. But I think there are many lessons to be learned from many of the standard business reporting projects we have here. And perhaps we should also bundle that more with XBRL International or something like that to create some sort of knowledge base.
Great, Victor. Thanks a lot. And of course, I will read and try to make others read the document also. Thanks a lot.
It's unfortunately not in Spanish, but English is a good starter to.
I can work translating and make it
Great, thank you.
better. Thank you.